Josh Franke, Westerville Central Warhawks football, joining us here with Storied Rivals for another season. And I always appreciate your time, Coach. It's
For sure.
great to talk to you, and I'm glad that you're having a good summer, man. And second season, but it's your first full off
Right.
season. Like if you include the winter and the spring leading up to this summer, and you be able to have that with your staff and your strength and conditioning and all your players and everything. I mean, how valuable has that been to actually get a full complete off season?
Man, I'll tell you what, I don't think we really noticed the difference until we hit camp. And once we started getting into camp, it was night and day difference from where we were last year. And, and that's just from a full scope. Like been able to have our kids in the weight room, I think we started in November. Our strength and conditioning coach, Coach Schaefer, he's done an amazing job. I mean, we've had kids, I think one kid put on 45 pounds over the off season. And so like he's just really hit it hard. We averaged 83% of our team, was there and only missed a day or two per month. So I think that was a pretty good percentage rate of attendance for us. And, their strength, you can see the strength that has kind of been gained throughout the offseason. But then when you step on the field, not only does that translate, but then just all of the players having the basic foundational knowledge of the system that we're running has been huge too. So last year we were scrambling just to get kids to learn things and learn the very basic principles and plays of the offense and the defense. And we had to spend a lot of time with like the guys that were projected starters. Whereas now, those projected starters already know all of those basic things, so we can kind of do a little bit more complex stuff. But then also, we got the younger guys that we can start working on too and start setting them up. So, we finished camp yesterday and I told my offensive line coach, I was like, you know what? I said, if we had to play a game Friday, like I feel pretty good that we'd be able to go out there and at least, be able to run plays properly. Like, I think that's where we're at. So just to be able to have that off season and be able to work on those things and make use of the individual instruction and the spring 7-on-7 stuff has just been huge.
What are you feeding the kid to have him put on 45 pounds, dude?
So, so when I say we have a head strength conditioning coach, Dan Schaefer, and then he has several guys on his staff, and under his staff, like he has other strength conditioning guys, but then we have like a massage therapist, we have a nutritionist, and our nutritionist has done. Amazing things with our kids. Mohammed Bangora, he's one of our guys that has 6 D1 offers, but he finished this season last year at 213 and he's now up to 243. So, and that's just, and he's not even the 40 plus kid. That's Gavin Schneider, the younger brother of Jack Schneider. I think he finished the season last year at 186, and he's coming into this season at 247. So, when you take a nutritionist and you take a kid who's serious and consuming the calories that he needs to consume and the right type of calories he needs to consume, and then he's also taking his strength and conditioning very seriously. You see those guys just really start to put on the weight, and to be honest with you, it's good weight. So it's something we're excited about. And again, I can't credit Coach Schaefer and his staff enough because they've really done wonders for us this offseason.
Obviously, you said it's good weight, but when you put on weight that fast, I mean, is it difficult to also maintain or improve their level of explosiveness and speed?
It's funny you mentioned that. So Mohammed Bangora, like I said, he's up to 240 plus, and when he ended at 215, and he has uh, the longest broad jump on the team, which is a measure of explosive ability, and then he also has the highest squat on the team right now. So, again, I think you're consuming all of those calories. Like I think he was on a 6,000 calorie diet a day, and he's consuming all those calories, but at the same time. We lift 4 days a week, and he was getting in there and he's lifting, and as long as you're putting those calories in and you're using it to build muscle, you're going to have good things happen. If you're putting all those calories in and you're just kind of laying around the house, like that's not when it's going to be beneficial.
Right. I need to come hang out with you guys then, and you need to put 30 pounds on me, brother.
Listen, well, and we have, I will say, like, we have kids that, we told that needed to put on the weight and they didn't take it as serious. And I mean, I don't think people realize, like, to eat a 6,000 calorie diet, the right way. I mean, it's hard, like you're getting to a point where you're force feeding yourself.
Right.
And it's not easy. A lot of people are like, oh, I could easily do that. And it's not easy. So credit those kids who took it serious and, really put in the effort to get the weight on. I mean, Gavin Schneider is going to be a sophomore for us. He's 6'5", like I said, 245, 246. So, to make that jump in 1 year, I think, he's setting himself up just by size alone to pass the eye test for some college recruiters that are coming in.
I remember when we talked last year that your move to Westerville Central was kind of like a homecoming for your family and things. I mean, what was the last year like for other than the the football side of it and everything? Like, what was it like for you and your family last year?
You know what? Football wise, hardest year of my life. So
Sure. I mean, yeah,
that was tough.
100%.
But I mean, that was literally a grind to just kind of get through the year and get to the off season where we could hit the reset button and be like, all right, let's start from scratch. But for my family wise, I mean, listen, it was a huge adjustment. Like I have a 10 and a 12-year old. I think for our family, the hardest thing, for me and my wife at least, were watching our kids adjust to a new school. Just they picked up everything they knew. They picked up and left all of their friends back in Toronto, and to come here and walk into a building where you didn't know anybody, and to see their struggles over the first couple months of trying to make new friends and find people to find your little clique that you belong with. And I mean, that's hard from a parent standpoint because you kind of put the blame on yourself. Like you see your actions and the things that you decided, decisions you made for your family have a negative impact on your kid. And I mean, that's hard. That's hard. But now they're doing really well. Ton of friends, and you're seeing them blossom into what you thought, or the reason why you made the decision you did. So it's starting to pay off. But early on, and I think that was made even more hard is like they were just starting school out, and it was the football season, and we were struggling. It was just like, you were in a I was in a dark place for this first couple months of the school year. So
Yeah, no, I imagine it was a whirlwind. It's funny that you mentioned some of that stuff about kind of the struggles with your family and things, moving to Westerville because I saw your post about a week ago on on Twitter or X, whatever you call it, and it was Warhawks. What is it called? Warhawk football's game plan for mental health, and I thought that was really powerful. That just seeing that, obviously education and wellness checks for players and things, and I guess I kind of want to know like what went into building something like that for your program, and I guess the inspiration behind it.
sure. I lost a player in 2019, suicide. Um, Something that still affects me today. And then last year we had a female wrestler take her life at Westville Central. And it was just one of those things where it's like, you know what? Like these kids are struggling, and I didn't want something to happen on our football team to where I looked back and I was just like, what were we doing to prevent that? And if the answer was nothing, I couldn't live with that again. I can't go through that again. So I got with our administration, and I got with our mental health specialists and that we have at the school who are great. And I was like, you know what? Here's what I want to do. Like, and I guess another part of this is too, is like when I was with Mohammed Ben Gor and we went up and visit Michigan State, like they had this, they had a mental health program in their program. And when I took Brock Ballman down to Ohio State for a visit, like Ohio State had this in their program. It's like, you know what? If we're going to try to build a football program that no one else in the state can compare to, like this needs to be an aspect. This needs to be a part. So when I went to the administration, they were like, "Yeah, let's do it." When I went to our mental health specialist, they were like, "Yeah, we're completely on board." And then it was kind of like, "All right, so what do we do?" And it was one of those things where we kind of just sat down. Becca Yanni, who works for our district office, came in. Tammy Santa came in, who's our mental health specialist for the district, and it was kind of like, "Hey, listen." Westville Central Football wants to pilot this program and show people, what we do, and hopefully the idea is that other teams are going to copy this, and and not only just other football teams, but other sports teams. So when we look at this, it's kind of a component that kids are going to get this idea of, or this training. We're going to have them trained on mental health, and this whole principle that it's okay to not be okay sometimes. Because I think, like, especially in the game of football, we as coaches a lot of times preach toughness, and you got to be physical, and you got to be mentally tough, and you got to how to persevere and go through adversity, and you just got to push, and you got to be strong. um, so I think, like, we also need to talk about, like, it's okay if you're not okay. You know what I mean? And because I think, like, a lot of players, I think one of my biggest questions throughout my coaching career is, like, when I had a player in 2019 take his life, like, why didn't he call me first? Like, before he did it, why didn't he call me, or why didn't he tell me anything was going on? I mean, it was something that completely blindsided me. Um, so I think, yeah, as I've thought about that over the last couple of years, I think he just didn't want me to think that he was weak. Because you're preaching toughness all the time. So, number one, we want kids to know that it's okay, to not be okay. Number two, we want them to be able to recognize some red flags, maybe in their friends, that maybe coaches are going to miss. And then when you do recognize those red flags, like, what do you do? Like, what's the protocols? Who should you talk to? Um, we're opening up 2 hours a week that our mental health specialists will have a 1 hour open door policy where football players will be able to access that time to go in and speak with them. We're going to do some wellness checks. We're working with a couple people within the school district that will reach out, that aren't affiliated at all with the football program, but have students from Central reach out to just do wellness checks on kids on the team, and just be like, "Hey, man, like, what's your weather forecast this week? Like, where are you at? Like, are you 75 and sunny, or are you like 32 and rainy?" Just and then when they answer, it's like, "Well, what's going on? Why is that?" Because I feel like sometimes football players may just need another student or another peer that's not on the football team that they can talk to, and just kind of not have their teammates feel like they're displaying any type of weakness, or not being tough. So those components there, we're going to educate our parents on mental health and how to recognize some sign and symptoms, and what do you do if you do recognize those things. So it's a multifaceted plan. Stress coping skills and how to relieve anxiety and things like that, like, all of that's kind of being tied into this. And this is obviously the first year for it, but I think it's something that, as we go through this first year, there's going to be things that we're going to fine tune, or maybe make adjustments and change moving forward until we perfect it. But it's something I'm really excited about. And again, in the end, I'm not saying that we're not going to have some terrible tragedy, but in the case that does happen, it's going to make me feel a little bit better knowing that, like, we tried to prevent those things. We tried to do things that would prevent that from happening, and we did our best. And at least we had a plan of action that we were following, rather than just taking a roll of the dice and being like, "Well, I hope it doesn't happen one day." And that's not good enough. So
Yeah, that's very powerful, and honestly something that a lot of schools, and not just schools, but places of work should really institute that. And I I'm sorry that you've had to deal with multiple tragedies over the course of your coaching
no, thank
career.
you.
But that, again, that's really powerful, and I appreciate you sharing that messaging, because I think it's something that a lot of players and coaches and people in general just need to hear, is that it is okay to not be okay sometimes. So
For
I
sure.
appreciate that, man.
Thank you.
Um, we'll shift to something a little bit more positive and lighthearted, I suppose.
All right.
So I know you've had some 7-on-7s and stuff recently, but
Right.
you started your own one. The second this year was the second annual Warhawk 7-on-7 tournament. I mean, what was
Sure.
cool about starting that, and how did it go this year?
Listen, I think it went great. We had 18 teams partake. Dublin Jerome ended up winning it, beating Bishop Watterson in the championship there. But it's just an opportunity for us to host an event. Our booster club makes a good amount of money from the concession stands that we run there. But I also think it's an opportunity for us to showcase for the Westerville community, kind of like it kind of caps off our 7-on-7 season, and just to kind of see the progress we've made over the summer, but also kind of get them excited for what's coming here in a couple weeks, and just kind of an opportunity to come out and see what the team's going to look like. So it's a lot of fun. It's a whole day. I got to thank all of our touchdown club members. I mean, they work really hard to put that event on, and they're sweating their tails off in the concession stand all day, but it was an awesome event. BSN sponsored it, so the winning team got Nike T-shirts, and it was a good event. So we're something we're going to continue to keep doing, and I hope it continues to grow. And I think it ran really smoothly. We scheduled a 2:30 championship, and sure enough, we had a 2:30 championship. So it ran real smooth. I was real happy with it.
That's good, man. Do you have much coming up over the next month as far as scrimmages? I know some teams like to do a lot of scrimmages, some teams don't, but what's on your schedule?
We're doing two. So we have Groveport. We'll do a morning scrimmage with Groveport. I believe it's next Friday, and then the following Thursday we'll do a simulated, Thursday night 6 p.m. kickoff. But it'll be like game like scenario. And then we're gonna tap it at that. We're carrying 115 on roster right now, but yeah, and we only have 17 seniors, so we're still going to be really, really young. So we just want to minimize, the contact that a lot of our starters are getting, and just make sure we're going into the season healthy. Like last year, we were injury plagued from the very start. First scrimmage, Kevin King, Foku, who's was going to be our sophomore starting tailback last year, broke his collarbone in a scrimmage, and then week one, Jason Gwynn pulls his hamstring, which plagued him all year. And then week two, Elijah Harris, our star receiver, breaks his collarbone. So it was kind of just, your running back, your quarterback, your receiver, right out the gates were lost for us. So we're just trying to minimize that risk, and, try to get as few reps as possible for those guys in full contact scenarios. So we go into August 22nd, full health.
Yeah, you mentioned Gwynn, who graduated, and then you return a starter, Wyatt Marger. He started 6 games last year and led the team to its only win. And I know I saw a video I think you did with the Columbus Dispatch. You mentioned several other talented kids that you're going to have on your roster. Kajah Johnson's a sophomore, Nate Miller a freshman, and then you transferred a kid from Grove City, I think. So who steps in at quarterback? Like, are you going to lean towards that experience of Mauger, who led you last year, or do you like some of the athleticism and stuff that you've seen from some of these younger guys?
Sure. No. To be honest with you, Nate Miller, as the freshman, has kind of taken the lead here. I'll tell you. I have a former quarterback of mine that's at Cincinnati right now, and I had him as a freshman at Toronto all the way through his end of his junior year, and he did not start for Toronto as a freshman. So that's Division 7, Division 6 football, and he is at Cincinnati right now, and wasn't good enough at quarterback to start as a freshman. But Nate Miller is a kid that could be really, really special. He is mature, well beyond his years, throws a ball better than most freshmen, and his football IQ is really high. I mean, he just has a knack for understanding football, understanding open spaces, understanding and anticipating receivers being open. I mean, it's just when he's in, our offense has run smooth, and I think that's kind of where he's gotten the edge over some of the other guys who may have a stronger arm, or can throw the ball further or put more RPMs on the ball, but just the way the offense operates under him, it just runs more efficiently. So he's kind of taken the step there. Kajah Johnson is a kid that we were looking at early on at quarterback. But he is he is a very special player. He's going to be only be a sophomore. He's 6 foot 240. And I mean, he can run, he can throw, he can catch, and he can block. He's a punishing blocker. He looks like he's probably going to start linebacker for us right now on our defense, but we are going to use him very similar to the way Penn State used Tyler Warren. I mean, he's going to be involved in every position on the offense almost. So, as much as he could help us at quarterback, I just think you being able to utilize him as a weapon and all of the skills that he brings to the table. I just I think we'd really be dumb to not do that. I mean, that's for opposing defenses. It's hard to plan for a guy like that. You got to know where he's at all times.
You mentioned that you got bit pretty badly by the injury bug last year, and but did it feel like going into the? I mean, you probably couldn't have even imagined going 1-9 with the talent that you have, or that you had last year. I imagine you don't see that being the case this year. But did you feel like even without, or even with some of those injuries, did you feel like you were a better than 1-9 program last year?
At times there were times that we felt that way. To be honest with you, I think the last season really rolls back to week one. It was the end of the first quarter. It's 0-0 with North, and we have the ball down on the 10-yard line. We're about ready to score, and Jason pulls his hamstring. He goes out. Mauger goes in, and 2 plays later, it's a strip sack for a 96-yard touchdown the other way, and just like that, it was 7-0, and en route to a 34-0 loss. And obviously, Jason Gwynn's a really hard kid to try and replace, but you just look back at that game and you think to yourself, like, if we were able to score there and make that game 7-0, maybe we win that game. And if we do win that game, how different does the season look?
Yeah,
So and that's what sucks about starting your season with a rivalry game. You're getting really hyped for that week one game, and if you're not able to pull out a victory, I mean, there's just this tremendous, um, this tremendous just kind of disappointment, and that's hard to bounce back from, especially when you got a brand new coach and brand new system, and it was difficult. So no, I didn't see us being a 1-9 team. I think things could have went differently, but I think with that week one game, and when Jason got hurt, he's just the type of player that you could hear a pin drop in the whole stadium. Not only
hmm
did our fans know, but you look down up and down the sideline, and like the kids were just like, here's Superman. He's gotten injured, so I don't know. It's hard to bounce back from, man. So
yeah, it's tough. Well, especially when you compound, losing a rivalry game with injuries, and I mean, and it's all that early in the season. Yeah, that is difficult. But it sounds like you have a young Superman who's taking the reins.
we'll see. I think the biggest thing with Nate is not asking too much of Nate Miller. I think it's true of any freshman. You can't rely. Well, I can't rely on him to win us football games. And that means we got to play complementary football. It means we got to play really good on defense. We got to be able to establish the run. And to be honest with you, our receivers and tight ends are going to have to make catches. You know what I mean? Like, and we just can't ask him to throw the ball 40 times a game. Like, that's just, we can't do that. So we got to be able to play complementary football with him and not ask too much of him. And I think the other side of it too is like the psychological aspect. When you're a freshman quarterback and you're starting at a Division I program in one of the toughest conferences in the state of Ohio, my job as a coach is to keep him, keep him on the ground. You know what I mean? And what I mean by that is, like, don't let him get too big, don't let him get too high on his own supply. He can't be a celebrity quarterback, because a lot of times, like, when you're a freshman at that level or at our level, the media really grabs a hold of that. Social media grabs a hold of that, and they kind of really blow that up. And we just got to keep him even keel, And I try to tell him like, listen, man, you're still a freshman. You still have a long way to go. Like you have to keep your feet on the ground. Like you can't buy into the hype. Like and I think one of the things we talk to our team about all the time is you're never as good as they say you are. And you're never as bad as they say you are. So like, I think just kind of reminding him of that because I've been doing this long enough and I've worked with quarterbacks long enough that I know that when you're winning and everything's going great, like you're a superhero, you're a superstar. And the moment you start losing, everyone's pointing fingers at the quarterback. It's the quarterback that is the problem. And, it's the most popular person on a losing football team is the backup quarterback. It's just one of those things that we're just going to have to gradually walk him through this and not only physically prepare him, mentally prepare him with football, but also psychologically prepare him for playing quarterback at this level.
The last thing I'll leave you with, and I saw you post this recently too, that someone came out with a ranking of stadiums in the state of Ohio for Central Ohio, and Warhawk Stadium was ranked 10th in the top 20 for high school stadiums. I mean, is that pretty cool to know that someone thinks that highly of Warhawk Stadium, and I guess just how good your facilities are in creating not just a great experience for your players and coaches and things, but also a great fan experience for parents and things.
Oh, listen, absolutely, and to be honest with you, obviously I'm a little biased. I was a little disappointed we weren't a little higher, but
Sure, yeah, you got it.
yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, listen, I think one of the cool things that we did last year that pumps me up is the hawk flying out at the 50 before the team takes the field. I mean,
that's
like where
so
else can
cool.
you go that you're going to see that? So between that and our student section was one of the most impressive things to me coming from such a small school to a large school. Our student section was super impressive, and we went to other stadiums at times or other schools would come to us and their student sections just weren't even close to what ours were. Our student section travels really well. They're involved. They get into the game. And they show up every Friday night. I mean, and that's hard to ask when you're not winning a lot of football games. So to see them continue to go out there and support the team and be there on a Friday night, I mean, I don't know that they make it. Not only just them, the cheerleaders, our band, like all of those guys collective together make Friday night special and make Warhawk Stadium special. So I got to give all the credit to our students and our band and our cheerleaders because last year there wasn't a lot to cheer for, but you would have never guessed that if you came to a home game. So kudos to them.
Well, Coach, you're so well spoken, and you're building just such a. I think you're building a beautiful program, with Westerville Central, and you're doing things the right way. And I can certainly see that from afar. And it's always a pleasure to get to talk to you, man. And I appreciate you talking football for 20, 25, 30 minutes, however long we went, man. And
Sure.
and I appreciate it. And thank you for everything that you do to support us. And I always appreciate it, man.
For sure. No, I appreciate the kind words, man. Thank you.